Take two shot.
Oh, yeah, please. Keep him in it if you would.
Speed.
Okay. Well, this man may be taking his ease right now, but I'll tell you, he must have been one of the hardest working folks on the set, not just dealing with your own character in Heart and Souls, but for others. There must have been a time when somebody's pitching this thing to you. And I'd love to get your first reaction, like, you want me to do what?
Well, I know, I'd read the script and then went and talked with Ron, and I was more interested in, well, what kind of film do you want to make here, you know what I mean? I did, as you know, I did this film, Chances Are, and I don't necessarily want to repeat myself, but I like the material, and I really like the films you've done. And he just very kind of matter-of-factly and quietly told me the feeling he wanted to come out of this film, and I said, well, that sounds great, I'm in. And but then you're right. I mean, at a certain point, I go, "Oh my God, can I pull this off? Are people going to laugh at me? Am I going to go too over the top and they're going to say, well, nice work after Chaplin? What happened? You know?"
You do have that aspect too, the expectations. From
I guess
people.
so. I guess so.
Is it fair to ask, of the four, which was the toughest for you?
Grodin. Because you've seen Grodin, watch his career, I'm sure, and he's such a master of communicating so much with doing so little. Whereas I'm only starting to learn how to do that technically. So it was like trying to do someone who's kind of years ahead of you. You know what I mean?
I've been trying to assess his talents, and the idea of refinement is a good one. I hadn't thought it. You're right.
He's just a distillation of everything that works, I think. And Sizemore was, for me, the easiest because I just know him so well now, you know, and I started to get to know him pretty well while we were shooting. So that was fun. And the girls are difficult because it's hard.
Well, with Woodard, you don't want to get into caricature.
Exactly. And she was like, honey, if you Aunt Jemima me, I'm going to slap your face. I was like, no, please, that's the last thing I want to do. She goes, well, then don't do it. Let's try it again.
Interesting. And she's a formidable person.
Oh, boy, is she. You do not want to mess with Alfre Woodard, I will tell you that much.
Now, I, along with everybody else, have been seeing a lot of films these days with all of the car chases and the explosions and everything else. And although there is physical comedy in this, it's a very sweet picture. Is that a relief to you as well to have opportunities like that available to you for films like that? Or do you have inside you the desire to do a rock'em sock'em roller coaster chase sometime?
I would be happy. Well, that's what's going on now with this Oliver Stone film I'm doing.
Oh, well, yeah.
You know, so it's like, I'm just living this charmed life. I get to do these films that I really want to do, and I get to experiment and go in different areas.
Could I steal a second about the Stone Project? Tell us a little bit about it.
Sure. This is a film about serial killers in the media, and I play an Australian wacko journalist who's got a TV show called American Maniacs. Anyway, he gets Mickey Knox, Woody Harrelson, and Juliette Lewis plays Mallory Knox, through these crazed serial killers. And he gets them an interview because they want to, like, you know, take out their brains up in this psychiatric ward, and he goes, that's unconstitutional. But what he really wants to do is get a 40 or 50 share for his show because you're going to put it on right after the Super Bowl. And it's about what happens as Mickey and Mallory take Wayne straight to hell with them in a very interesting way. And it's kind of about demons, and it's about
You're
a lot of
having
stuff.
fun with this, just as you describe it.
Oh,
Is
it's
it a
amazing.
hoot for you?
Yeah, it's great. It's also very difficult because my character talks so much that I'll just come in the morning. It's like, so what do I say today? You say these 5 pages. Roll it. So reminds me more of when I used to do theater, or you've just got to get stuff down and be real crack, you know.
I'm going to switch gears here. Our time's limited.
Please
but
do.
I'm dating myself, but I remember watching so many of your father's films. When I was in college, part of that great Hollywood Renaissance going on, people outside Hollywood.
Yeah.
Growing up with a filmmaker in the family, is that an advantage? Tell me something that maybe was good for you about that experience too.
Well, it made it all seem very organic. And my father, as you know from his films, were pretty avant-garde and I think quite ahead of their time. Yeah. So I always had this feeling that making films was organic and that it was supposed to seem strange and out of the ordinary.
Well, what about working together?
Oh, God, well, we've done 2 films together now in the last 5 years, and it's just great.
I mean, it has to have been very either challenging or fulfilling. I'm not sure how to put it.
Yeah. Fully challenging.
Yeah. In other words, he's not taking anything off of you because of the family thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It could go the opposite direction, I guess.
Yeah, I've been real lucky, you know, and I think it's just like with Riley in this film, he really allows the people around him to help him out. and he realizes that he does have this family and that there's a lot of benevolence around him. And my father now, I feel like I've got a good friend and someone who's always just dead honest with me, and the same with my mom. So it's amazing to come out of, the 80s dysfunctional family decade and kind of think like, boy, maybe things are going to shape up. Maybe it's going to be a nice century after all.
Very quickly, the British Oscar for Chaplin.
The BAFTA.
I assume as meaningful, if not more so.
Oh, sure. It blew my mind. I really didn't expect to win, and then Attenborough called me and told me, and it made him so happy that it made me doubly happy. And now, as long as they send me the little plaque for the award, I'll actually be able to say it's mine because there'll be proof on it.
And amongst the many fine scenes, may I pick out the one in the music hall where you're the drunk in the box?
Ah, thank you.
Dead on. I mean, there must have been a sense when you watched that.
We were very far into the filming, and I was very frustrated. I felt like I hadn't captured any of him physically yet. And so after we did that scene, and it was for a British audience of the British extras, and when they kind of gave me a bit of a clap, and being as reserved as they are, I said, okay, I'm doing it all right now.
You have to forgive me, I've lost track. Do I have time for maybe one more
question,
go ahead, or am
man.
I going long
Go
here?
ahead.
I was just talking to Ron Underwood, and we were kicking around the idea that this isn't really a fantasy at all. Heart and Souls is not a fantasy. It's actually about people being willing to take on a second chance, giving yourself an option. Go ahead, try it again. What do you think? Is that
I think
it's a
that's the
reality-based film, really?
I think it is, yeah, and I think because it takes the story structure it does, and because it's a little bit broad, it's safe to communicate a very potentially preachy message like that. I mean, I think that this film is kind of about America, too, and about America in the 50s, and what's happened since then, and how we have this other chance going into the 21st century. So I hope and believe that this film will be around for a while, and that people will look back on it as being as important as it is entertaining.
And no more will the Jimi Hendrix national anthem be the benchmark. We've got a new one now for the 90s.
Thank you.
Robert Downey Jr. It's been a real pleasure. I'm John Tibbetts for KCTV5, and we are in Chicago. And B.B. King stepping through the bus.
Yeah.